Hi, this is Curt and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
Okay, I love this one because I don't understand it, and I did a little research on this. So we're going to go to Ohio, and here there's a patient who is having respiratory issues. He was asthmatic. The fire department gets there, and they told him allegedly, this is all allegedly, right? This is a lawsuit, not a court finding. So allegedly, the patient or the patient's representative, because the patient couldn't speak, told him that he's asthmatic, he uses inhaler and it didn't work. They give him, I think, 3 rounds of Narcan, and somehow he becomes a quadriplegic. So I have 2 questions because I couldn't discern it, and I'll kind of answer my questions a little bit. But first is, were they claiming, one, that Narcan causes quadriplegia?
No, I don't think
so. 2, I don't think so. In fact, let me start on that. I looked up the side effects of Narcan because I never heard of that, and I've never heard that respiratory distress is a contraindication to giving heroin. And frankly, I've done it so many times I can't count. That I don't know. But I looked it up anyway, to be fair, and no, becoming quadriplegic or any spinal or brain issues are not a side effect of Narcan. In fact, Narcan has some side effects, but usually only when you are on heroin. In any event, so the second reason, I'm presuming, is the real reason they sued, because I think they assume that they delayed care, right? And that led to maybe some brain death and thus his paralysis. And the answer will be very simple on a win or lose of this lawsuit, at least a win. Did you follow in order the protocol? If you follow the protocol, I don't think there's any liability. Mm-hmm. You might argue the protocol is bad, but as to the fire department who followed the protocol, assuming they did, and I don't know they did, but they don't seem to say that they didn't follow the protocol. Maybe the lawyer doesn't know or whatever, but if you follow the protocol, they're off the hook, right? They didn't use any judgment. They just said difficulty breathing, here's what we do. On the other hand, when you're told it's asthmatic, I don't want to speak as, as a caregiver. I'll stay on with a lawyer hat, but, you can't really give albuterol necessarily. You can bag them in certain ways. I don't know what their protocols are, but, it was preventative, right? It's like you take someone's blood for cardiac arrest. Why are you testing their blood for cardiac arrest? Because that may be the cause, right? So here they're trying to figure out, right, why is the person not breathing? So they tested for heroin. Now, maybe they're so offended that they're testing for, or they're trying to treat heroin, but there's so much that's missing. We don't know what they did before the Narcan administration, right? We don't know what the protocols say. So all we're doing is saying this is a lawsuit. If it was me, I'd want to see the paperwork. I'd want to see the protocols. I hope it's a very good write-up for the sake of the department and the paramedics and all such. But, it's an interesting lawsuit. But it's basically, I assume what they're saying is you delayed care, and your proof of delaying care is, why were you giving Narcan? But I'm pretty sure they're going to have Narcan in their policies for unexplained respiratory arrest.
Right, unexplained unconsciousness. Yeah, and I think so. And a couple of things kind of jump out at me. And as you were speaking, the one that first came to mind was immunity. That in most states, EMS and firefighters will have immunity when they're providing emergency medical services, but it's only for negligence. So the question would be, if you mistakenly diagnose an asthma patient as being an overdose patient and administer, basically you follow the wrong protocol, that's more in the nature of negligence.
Right.
And even if somebody's speaking to you there, a lot of times we get people, well-intentioned people, but they're kind of giving us information that's leading us in the wrong direction. And sometimes,
especially parents.
Yeah,
my kids would never do drugs.
Yeah, so I think there's a potential here for some immunity protection that's going to go in the firefighters' favor. Okay, And now if it was beyond negligence, was gross negligence or recklessness, then that's a different story. So that's sort of number one. The second one is, people are not sophisticated. Civilians are not sophisticated. When they call 911, whoever shows up are paramedics and super paramedics that are going to save somebody's life. Okay, could have been an engine company that didn't have ALS gear, but they did have Narcan. And so the first engine starts with Narcan, then the ambulance comes in later. And so again, the complaint is allegations. Obviously, the people who filed the complaint don't have a great deal of background in this. Maybe the attorneys don't even know what questions to ask in terms of putting the complaint together. But I can also see this exact fact pattern being where an engine company gets there, they've got Narcan, but they don't have anything beyond that. And so, well, you know what? It certainly doesn't hurt them, I don't think, to give them Narcan if you don't have albuterol or some of the other medications, oxygen, some other things there. But on the other hand, if you do have all that other stuff and there was a delay, then maybe there is that causation piece. So again, they'll have to sort that all out through discovery and through the trial process.
Yeah, tough road to hoe. And